Your life is not unfolding randomly. It's repeating what your nervous system is used to imagining as real. Welcome, you guys. Welcome to our Neville Goddard's The Power of Awareness book reading. Today we will explore chapter number 5, which is The Truth That Sets You Free. As always, if you want to hear the entire chapter reading, here is the card on the screen. You can click there because today we will look on parts of his work through a nervous system lens only. Okay, so let's begin. The drama of life is a physical one in which all the conditions, circumstances, and events of your life are brought to pass by your assumptions. Since your life is determined by your assumptions, you are forced to recognize the fact that you are either a slave to your assumptions or their master. To become the master of your assumptions is the key to undreamed of freedom and happiness. Okay, so basically, Neville calls life a psychological drama. Okay, bear in mind, psychological. He didn't mention mental, psychological drama. But let's make it really real, not philosophical. Okay, so look at your recurring patterns in your life. Do you have same types of stress responses, same emotional reactions, same outcomes? Do you have it? If you do, that's not coincidence because you do not choose events. You never choose events. Your system, rather, is choosing how reality is interpreted and repeated, okay? Because your state is not unconscious. It's just you're living as a, well, in Neville's terms, kind of a slave in it to any state that you try to embody. You can attain this mastery by deliberate conscious control of your imagination. You determine your assumptions in this way. Form a mental image, a picture of the state desired, of the person you want to be. Concentrate your attention upon the feeling that you are already that person. First, visualize the picture in your consciousness, then feel yourself to be in that state, as though it actually formed your surrounding world by your imagination. That which was a mere mental image is changed into a seemingly solid reality. I want to remind you guys that actually Neville himself, he was a dancer and also he taught highly artistic individuals. So they used their imagination a lot. They could, like the best acting an actor can provide is not pretending, but rather embracing the emotional situations and the emotions itself and express it through his own lens, through his own body, in his own unique way. So this is what I mean. Actors, singers, dancers, all highly artistic individuals, they have their imagination totally differently wired. So we have to acknowledge that fact. And Neville literally, he suggests throughout his entire career to imagine the state, to feel it as real. But for some people who are highly realistic, right, who have engineering mindsets, they might not be able to imagine vivid imagery, okay? So control doesn't mean really forcing images. It means not letting your system spiral into the same unconscious loops. So this is the best approach. If you do not feel like you're comfortable imagining certain scenarios and scenes, don't worry, it's totally normal. It just means that your nervous system isn't wired that way. Just what you can do, just notice the default imagery that appear throughout the day in your mind. Like, not the pictures itself, but are you imagining worst case scenarios? Are you replaying conversation? Or are you anticipating lack? So, this is the only thing that's needed from you, really. This is real, uncontrolled imagination. And it's not even conscious imagination, it's not conscious. It's just something that your brain is used to expressing. Okay? So, the great secret is a controlled imagination and a well sustained attention firmly and repeatedly focused on the object to be accomplished. It cannot be emphasized too much that by creating an ideal within your mental sphere, by assuming that you are already that ideal, you identify yourself with it and thereby transform yourself into its image, thinking from the ideal, not of the ideal. Every state is already there as mere possibilities as long as we think of them, but as overpoweringly real when we think from them. Okay, so it's very important. I love this part of his work because he draws the line between thinking of, which is I want this, I hope this happens, and thinking from, how would I move right now? How would I respond? How would I exude myself? Were that person, were I have had that, were I already in possession of that, or whatever your ideal is. So thinking from is not acting. It's when your system no longer feels separate from it, from your desire. Okay? And if you're aware of the fact that in your mind you try to perform or try to say, I have to push, I have to try to be looking like that or to be wanting that, it means that you're still thinking of it and it's not right. Okay, this was called by the ancient teachers subjection to the will of God, or resting in the Lord. And the only true test of resting in the Lord is that all who do rest are inevitably transformed into the image of that in which they rest, thinking from the wish fulfilled. So, again, it's not effort, it's not intensity. Rest means no internal resistance, okay? There is no forcing, no checking, no holding tension around the subject or the outcome itself. It more feels like you stop monitoring reality, you stop correcting yourself constantly. You're just in it, okay? And real state feels like absolute rest. A forced state feels like work, feels like duty, like obligation to convince yourself and others, the world at large. So you become according to your resigned will, and your resigned will is your concept of yourself and all that you consent to and accept as true. So you have to ask yourself an honest question. What have I quietly accepted? Okay? Is there something like, is there something residual in your mind? This always happens to me. Why this happened to me? This is how things are. That's not real. These are, I would call them projections. I would call them brainwashing, okay? It's not real will. It's not something that you want. So stop repeating something you do not want. It's something you just accepted, something that's your nervous system stopped questioning at one time. Okay? So you assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continuing therein, take upon yourself the results of that state, not assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When you understand the redemptive function of imagination, you hold in your hands the key to the solution of all of your problems. And this is very important, you guys, okay? Because your imagination is not really something like it's not visualization, not only. It's how you interpret silence, how you predict outcomes, and how you remember yourself and others in your past. So your reality is not really shaped by the events, it's more by the meaning your system gives to those events. And this is very important to consider. Okay. You are limited only by your uncontrolled imagination and lack of attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When the imagination is not controlled and the attention not steadied on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, then no amount of prayer or pity or invocation will produce the desired effect. This is very important, you guys, because your attention always, like, it constantly drifts to problems, to fears, to what's missing, right? If you're honest with yourself in the initial stage of the manifestation journey. And control is not really rigidity, it's simply gently returning your attention instead of letting it run automatically. And where your attention rests, really, this what becomes real. Okay? Okay, so also Neville Goddard and ended this with this part. On the morning of April 12, 1953, my wife was awakened by the sound of a great voice of authority speaking within her and saying, "You must stop spending your thoughts, time, and money. Everything in life must be an investment. To spend is to waste, to squander, to lay out without return. To invest is to lay out for a purpose from which a profit is expected. This revelation of my life is about the importance of the moment. It is about the transformation of the moment. It is only what is done now that counts. Whenever we assume the feeling of being what we want to be, we are investing." To be honest, every time I I see this little part that he added to this chapter, I want to laugh because the only image that I receive in my mind is just that he simply hypnotized his wife to hear this. And yeah, anyways, I don't know why I have this imagery. This is very strange. So anyway, what he meant, spending is actually reacting, is overthinking, it's emotionally spiraling, okay? Investing, though, it's rather focusing, it's pausing, it's stabilizing, it's choosing where your attention goes. So investment should never be an effort, should never be suppression, also, okay? It's simply non-leakage of your state, of your energy. And every moment you return to real presence, you are investing in a different reality, okay? If you choose to, because you have to be observant of your thoughts. So really, do not change your life by imagining harder. You change it by no longer feeding the patterns that your system is used to repeating. And what will remain with you, this is my promise to you, if you become conscious and present with your thoughts and with your bodily sensations, whatever you choose, you will eventually realize that reality. You will live in that reality as long as your nervous system is regulated and integrated. Okay? So I hope you liked it, guys. If you have any questions, please put it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.